I was 12 years old, and everything went its way. I had a relationship with a 15-year-old boy from a different origin. We were madly in love with each other and tried to spend as much time together as possible. We secretly met up after school or on the weekends somewhere in the city. After 3 years, we were still together, but then something really bad happened. My parents found out about our relationship and rejected what I had with him. They were very strict and didn't want to talk to me about it. They had their own ideas and views with who I could and could not date, especially when it came to the man to who I was to marry. That's how things worked in my family.
"That guy just has to go,"
said my dad without even looking at me. Because they were so strict, I had to break up with him. I also had to go off social media. My brother picked me up from school every day, and I could barely do anything without them knowing. I was broken and cried every day. How could you do this to your child? Didn't they love me? I felt imprisoned in my own home. It took me until I was 16 before I dared to ask my mother, "Mom, why could I not have a relationship with him?" And her response was, "Because he's from another origin." I could have guessed that was the reason, but still, her words made me very sad. Why don't they grant me my luck? Why won't they give us a chance? Not long after, I walked with my BFF in the city when I bumped into him. I hadn't seen him for quite some time, and we both laughed nervously. It was obvious that we were still in love with one another. He asked me to come back and meet him in the same place in half an hour. My friend, who knew everything about me and who I 100% trusted, took me to the supermarket to do groceries. After a half hour, I saw him again, and he gave me a new cell phone which he bought for me. From then on, we were in contact again and planned secret dates, just like how we started. After 2 months, I found out that I was pregnant. I was just under 17 and my boyfriend was almost 20. We looked at each other and knew instantly that we wanted to keep the baby. Because I could predict the reaction that my parents would have, I decided to not tell them anything. I kept it a secret for as long as I could, but after 5 months, I could no longer keep it to myself. Living with the tension behind such a secret was not good for me or the baby. I stayed awake for countless nights, unsure what was awaiting me if I were to tell my parents. It became even worse than I had imagined. I got kicked out of my parents' house. My mother swore that she never wanted to contact me again and would no longer call me her daughter. She said that she never wanted to see my child. I was sad and angry at the same time. My father couldn't even look me in the eyes. He said nothing. How could you do this to your own child? What's wrong with loving someone? My boyfriend was so sweet. He was there for me the whole time. He searched for houses on the opposite side of the city in which we could live in. Until that time, we could stay at my friend's house. A few months later, on my 17th, I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. He is the most precious gift that I have ever gotten. I was so lucky with my child and lived together with the man I have loved since day one. 4 years onwards, I had no contact with my parents whatsoever until one day, I coincidentally stumbled across my mother in the supermarket. We couldn't avoid each other, and when she saw my son, she got very emotional. She picked him up and gave him a big hug. She cried and hugged me, and I cried with her. My parents try their best to be good grandparents. They have never mentioned anything to him about the fights that we used to have. My relationship with them has improved, but we still don't talk very often. My boyfriend was never accepted by them. If he picks us up, he always waits outside or in the car. I feel very bad for him, even more so because his family made me feel so welcome since the day we met. It has been a very hard journey for all of us, but I am proud of how we carried on with our lives and powered through. Of course, you need to continue to give respect to each other's culture and views, but it should not be that a person's origin is neglected and belittled, especially if you love them.